Hello everybody, welcome back to Hammer the Backlog, the weekly Warhammer miniature painting accountability and productivity blog that is also a quarterly YouTube channel in which I review the quarter's progress, see whether we've hit the targets or not, and plan for the next quarter. This video is going to be the quarter 3 review and the quarter 4 planning session. The quarter 4 planning session will probably be fairly brief because since we have our annual target already set, quarter 4 is going to be whatever's left over. But before we get to that, let's take a look at quarter 3. So we had 4 rocks, 4 quarterly targets in quarter 3. The first one was to get the Imperialis Miniatures Mercenary Swordsman box set painted up to a decent standard, photographed in a 90s style and online. I'm happy to say that that rock was achieved. Here they are here. These guys were an absolute treat to paint. I was a little bit hesitant when I was buying them because essentially Imperialis Miniatures is a cottage industry. These are as close to handcrafted as you're going to get in the miniature wargaming industry. They are inspired by, but not direct copies of, the Grudgebringer infantry from the Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat and Dark Omen video games from the mid-90s. So I decided to paint them up in a late Warhammer Fantasy Battles 4th edition, early 5th edition style. Since the majority of the troopers are monopose models, they struck me as more deserving of an early 90s style. That's why I created this box art for them with the help of my lovely lady friend. This really is my effort to imitate the 90s box art style. That style that you got where you got one box with 4 high elf spearmen and 4 high elf archers, or you got 12 monopose Bretonnian archers in a single box. But these guys were also inspired by some of the early 5th edition box sets. In 5th edition Warhammer, we started seeing more complete units sold. So this particular photo and this setup is a little bit more what you would have seen maybe in 1997 or 1998. So the goblin green base is gone, it's replaced by flock, we've got some scenery. Overall, I was really happy with this set. I was really impressed by Imperialis Miniatures. I love the figures. Some of the details are a little bit soft, and that worried me in the beginning, but realistically, I think that either it happens to perfectly suit the style of imitating 90s models, or the guy who makes these is a genius and managed to really capture that feel of an early 90s miniature. These were great, and I'm really happy that that rock is complete. The second rock of the quarter, and the big one, was to get the Blackstone Fortress core box set entirely painted up, photographed, and online. As you can see on the table in front of me, I have achieved that goal as well. So that's 2 out of 4 rocks achieved. These were a bizarre combination of incredible fun and patience-trying models. The Urgolds, the spindle drones, everything that's a little bit weird, the robot UR025, all of those things were really, really fun. But that was balanced out a little bit by the fact that with the Traitor Guardsmen, with the Beastmen, with the Rogue Psychers and the Negavolt Cultists and the Black Legion Chaos Space Marines, there are a lot of dull greys, browns and tans in this set. So it was hard to stay motivated, I'll be honest. Coming from painting Bretonnians and Lizardmen with bright, vibrant colours, this was a bit of a challenge. But having said that, with them all on the table in front of me, fully painted to a standard I'm happy with, this is just fantastic. I'm really, really happy to have this full, complete set ticked off as the second rock of the quarter. While I'm here, I'm just going to say that my personal favourite models are the Robot UR025. I love the fact that he is a far future science fiction robot in the colour scheme of a 1950s fridge. It just tickles my wickle like nothing else. The other model that I really love from this set is Janos Drake, the Rogue Trader. He was the one who, when Games Workshop previewed this box set in 2018, I saw him and I thought to myself, the weird and wacky and wonderful hidden corners of the Warhammer 40 universe, Warhammer 40,000 universe, that's what really speaks to me. That's what excites me. That's what got me interested in this set. So that's done too. The last two targets were both a little bit easier. First of all, we had to paint, photograph and put online the dreaded Amble set. The dreaded Amble set was only Philippa here and her two little babies. So that was not too much work. This was only a week's work, to be honest. I'd already done a lot of the grunt work on painting the Amble before this quarter started. So she only really got highlights and touch-ups, and then the two little babies, they got painted from start to finish in less than a week. That was a little easy side project. I'm really happy with how that turned out. The little boar worms in particular were really great fun to paint. They have lots of hard edges and organic bits. The little worms, the little larvae all over the models, I thought they were going to be an absolute nightmare, but I ended up thoroughly enjoying painting every little ridge on these larvae, which was surprisingly fun. The last rock of quarter 3 was to get the Traitor Command set painted up. And once again, we did it. That's painted up, photographed and online. So all 4 rocks for this quarter have been achieved. Nearly a clean sweep for the entire year with only 1 quarter left to go. This set was another small set, just 2 models. I originally planned to have them painted in 1 week for the 2 of them. But once I got rolling on painting them, I found that they were a little bit more deserving of some time. So I decided to ditch that plan and spread them across 2 weeks. So the Traitor Commissar here, he got 1 single week of painting effort, and then the Chaos Ogren got a week to himself of painting effort. Overall, we have probably about 70-75 Hammer the Backlog points on the table here, bearing in mind that a quarter is 13 weeks, and with 5 points painted per week, that should be 65. But some of them were already painted. Some of these Traitor Guardsmen were already painted. A couple of the Explorers were fully painted before I started. So it gave me a little bit of time to play around and a little bit of time to spend more time on things when I decided they need it, or speed up in other areas. Overall, in terms of completing the targets, another fantastic month for Hammer the Backlog. So, with quarter 3 successfully finished, that leaves only 1 quarter of the first year of Hammer the Backlog left to do. That means the decision making in this quarter is pretty streamlined. We have, as far as painting targets go, only 1 tray left. This tray is the rest of Blackstone Fortress, everything from escalation forward. So on this tray, I have the 5 heroes from Escalation. I have the 7 cultists, 7 cultists from Escalation, and their leader, the Chaos Firebrand. We have the No Respite expansion for Warhammer Blackstone Fortress. That is 6 Poxwalkers and 3 Chaos, what are they called? They're all 3 Nurgle fellas. What are the Nurgle fellas? What are they called? The bloody Pox Marines? Plague Marines! We've got 3 Plague Marines, but they're already done. Plague Marines are already done, so they're not on the tray. From the next expansion, Deadly Alliance, we have the Zoat. And from the final expansion, which I know almost nothing about, Ascension, we have the 2 Guardian drones. This tray, compared to other quarters, looks pretty sparse, but that is really because this tray has more characters than other trays. If you remember in the system that I'm using, a trooper, a line trooper, for example, one of these Poxwalkers, that counts for 1 Hammer the Backlog point. In a normal week, I get 5 Hammer the Backlog points worth of painting done. So that means I can paint to a standard I'm happy with, 5 normal troopers in a week. But I can't paint characters that quickly because I like to put a little bit more effort and energy into them. So each of these characters also counts for 5 Hammer the Backlog points. That means, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 25 Hammer the Backlog points. That's 5 weeks worth of painting on these 5 models alone. Then we have the bigger monsters, the spindle drones and the Zoat. They're going to take a little bit more time too. So all in all, we have 7, 13, 15, 40, 45, 50, 55 Hammer the Backlog points worth of models on this tray. Bearing in mind that each quarter is 13 weeks, and at 5 points per week, that comes out at 65 points. That means if I get all of these guys done on time, it will give me 2 project-free weeks at the end of the quarter where I can paint some other stuff or focus on non-painting parts of the hobby. If you've been following along with Hammer the Backlog, then you know that every quarter I like to have a painting challenge or a painting rock, and I also like to have some sort of meta rock, something about the Hammer the Backlog project which isn't directly involved in painting. For quarter 4, we are going to do a pretty big one. As you can see, my garage attached to the side of my house is currently an absolute disaster zone. This is just where me and my lovely lady friend throw our rubbish that we don't want to sort. It's where we throw things that need to be stored but not organized, and it is both a health hazard and a trip hazard and an endless black hole into which you can lose things. I don't have a permanent painting station set up anywhere in my house where I can work through my weekly targets. And to be honest, that is something that I think hinders my productivity a little bit. So my meta rock for this quarter, my meta rock for quarter 4, is convert my garage into a modern, organized storage place and a painting station / workbench. Somewhere to put my 3D printers, my paints, my tools, and somewhere that when the weather is nice, I can sit there and work. So every time that we look at targets on Hammer the Backlog, I have to be thinking, is this target going to head towards the main goals, the main point of Hammer the Backlog? With the painting targets, this is pretty easy because my overall goal for Hammer the Backlog is to have no more unpainted miniatures. Specifically, to have no unpainted boxed sets. And in terms of getting that achieved, getting these box sets of Blackstone Fortress miniatures finished, that easily meets that requirement. So the other target of converting the garage into a bit of a workspace, does that really fit in with the project? To answer that question, I had to look at the vision board I made for myself a year ago, or almost a year ago. And on there, I saw that one of my long-term aims for the Hammer the Backlog project was to have a semi-permanent painting station and photography setup somewhere in my house that I could use to speed up the process. So the fact that I wrote that nearly a year ago cemented it for me that this fits in with my overall plan for growing this project and getting it done. Therefore, it's going on as this quarter's meta target. Now, the next thing to do is decide, am I going to break down the painting targets? And to be honest, I think I will. So we're going to have 4 painting targets this quarter. Number 1, get escalation, painted, photographed, and online. Number 2, get Deadly Alliance, painted, photographed, and online. Number 3, get No Respite, painted, photographed, and online. And number 4, get Ascension, painted, photographed, and online. There's one more project I wanted to do this quarter, which was to make a battle report for either the YouTube channel or the blog. I have my particular sight set on a scenario from White Dwarf 204 from 1997, which battles the Bretonnians against the Lizardmen. I was going backwards and forwards on deciding whether this was going to be a rock for this project this quarter, and eventually, using the same logic that I used for choosing these targets and choosing to convert the garage as a target, I decided that this wasn't a rock, because nowhere in any of the vision or plan for Hammer the Backlog did I have become a battle report station. become a Battle Report blog. So it's not becoming a rock. That doesn't mean it won't happen. If there's time, I'll do it, but it can't take energy or effort away from the 5 defined rocks from this quarter. Well, thank you very much for watching again. I hope you enjoyed this Q3 review and Q4 planning session. If you did, you can always check out the blog at www.hammerthebacklog.com. That's updated every Thursday, no matter what happens. Hammer the Backlog is also on Instagram and Twitter. I only post pictures of completed models there, so if you have no interest in any of this project management or accountability stuff and you just want to see the shinies, follow me on Instagram or Twitter. If you've watched this far on the YouTube video, please do consider giving it a like and maybe subscribing so that you're ready to receive the next update. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I will see you in another 3 months for the Year 1 end of year review and the Year 2 planning session. You're good eggs. Bye.